has never been a more important time to move in a vegan direction. Whether you're ready to start, restart, or re-energize your vegan or plant-based practice, this podcast is for you. I'm Michele Olander, life coach, vegan, ADHD matriarch, travel lover, and smoothie loather. And I know that it's the details that get in the way of your vegan journey. But I like to believe that the obstacle is always the way. So every week we meet here where I translate the tools of life coaching and Stoic philosophy. I bring you actionable tips, some laughs, interesting guests, and vegan ideas for everyone at any age. All to help you veg your best. Episode 256. Does aging gracefully just mean shut up? Hey, my Veg Your Bestie, welcome back. It's Michele. And this week, I don't know, you're going to get... you might get kind of a smorgasbord of rants and behind the scenes, and you might listen for a few minutes and go, I don't know, that might be too much information from Michele this week. But have you ever had one of those weeks or even months? Because it's been a little full on here at Veg Your Best. There have been tears and fevers, and we've had a lot of family members sick. I think there have been 4 ER visits in the last 4 weeks, all different people. There have been loads of family with viruses and fever. There's at least one dog with pretty bad tummy trouble, kind of messy. And we've had some friends who've gone through some really tough things, and our family lost a very cherished feline friend named Ophelia, who left a really big hole in her family's hearts this week. And, I was thinking about it all and all the people who've been kind of reeling in my little family group here, my expanding family group here. And honestly, it's a reminder to us all that no matter how busy we are, no matter how carefully you have organized and arranged things, no matter if we think we can't even handle a single more item in the agenda, there is always time for illness. There is always time for injury. There's always time for loss. And those injuries, those illnesses, those losses, they don't come with a scorecard of which one counts more. There's no standardized scale of suffering or pain. There's no rubric. There's no comparison. And even in the same human life, a seemingly small issue can sometimes set off what might seem to be really an outsized reaction. And in coaching, we sometimes talk about the difference between clean pain and dirty pain. And one of the things that can sometimes initiate us feeling more than the injury or the illness or the loss is when somebody that you speak with about it dismisses or actually invalidates your experience. Has anybody ever asked you how you are and then just kind of dismissed your response with something like, well, that's nothing. Or honestly, you should just be grateful you're healthy. Or, okay, you're sick, but at least you have good insurance. Or something just casual like, of course it could be worse. Come on, you look great for your age. Or what are you even talking about? You've got a great family. You have a husband. You're so blessed. You have savings. Don't be greedy. So there's something to be said for just responding fine or great or amazing when people ask you how you are. But there are those people in your life, in my life, who you might mistakenly think actually want details. You've made that mistake too, right? You've thought that they wanted, they actually cared a little bit more about what was going on with you. And you thought they might commiserate a tiny bit when you're not at your best or when you've been having a tough time. And this week, I wanted to just touch briefly on the idea of toxic gratitude. And I think we've all felt it, right? That moment when feeling #blessed starts to feel like, maybe I'm not worthy of speaking up right now. Or feeling ashamed that you're feeling overwhelmed or sad or scared by one of those pieces of human experience that just don't seem to be, well, globally relevant, globally important. You know, in the coaching world and on podcasts and in books, and if you talk to publishers and social media experts, there's this idea of the transformation story. People want to hear, they tell you, they want to hear the big transformation, rags to riches, losing 100 pounds, making millions, building a huge social media platform after being homeless or imprisoned. And I've been advised so many times I can't even tell you to tart up my transformation story for pitching myself on other podcasts or for getting more listeners, but I didn't lose 100 pounds. And I didn't survive childhood cancer. I didn't begin in a marginalized community. I didn't suffer more than, I don't know, the garden variety traumas that come up in 66 years or so. People I loved have died. Things have gone wrong sometimes. I have failed at a bunch of things along the way. I've had a human experience. But I've never been comfortable taking the advice to overstate those things. And if you listen to the media and to the backstories of people in books and on podcasts, I think you're going to hear a lot of how these human stories are packaged, for lack of a better word, made even more dramatic because people dismiss the average human life, I think, what goes on in there. And I have what I think is, by any objective measure, an extraordinarily lucky life. My mom grew up poor. My dad was a homeless Polish refugee in the Second World War as a child. He was homeless. My in-laws were homeless and in internment camps when they were children. They all knew how lucky they were because so many people they knew experienced much worse. So at 66, I have a beautiful family. I have freedom. I have meaningful work. I live in a peaceful environment in general. I spend time near the ocean. I eat the way I believe in. I've had the opportunities to dedicate myself to amplifying the voices and work of people who want to limit suffering and the negative impact of industrial animal agriculture. And still, I've had my challenges. I've had my challenges here and there this year with my thyroid, some medication issues, some AFib, which is a newer issue that's come up for me. And when I've brought those concerns up recently with a friend, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. I got a bit of a lecture. I got a lecture that you're lucky that's all you're dealing with. You know, maybe at your age that's normal, and maybe it's time for you to just age gracefully. And it was as if wanting to feel strong and vibrant and light on my feet and healthy is somehow a betrayal, and that it's asking too much. So let me say this. If you want my rant for this week, gratitude is powerful. I do believe it to be a virtue. And it's not a muzzle. It's not a shutdown button. You're allowed to want what you want. You're allowed to mourn what you've lost. And being grateful does not cancel out your goals or hopes. And I know, I talk to you all, and some of you have thought things like, well, people will just think I'm being vain or ungrateful if I care about this. Or they think, I guess this is just aging. I should just accept it. Some people have it worse. Maybe I'm making too big a deal out of it. Those sorts of thoughts, what do you feel when you think those thoughts? You feel dismissed. You feel maybe embarrassed, maybe even ashamed. And when you're feeling dismissed or embarrassed or invalidated or ashamed, what do? How do you show up? You don't talk about it. You don't get the help you might want or need. You don't investigate options. You don't speak up. And you don't honor your intuition. And you might eat something that doesn't align with your values of health or ethics. And as a result, what? You feel less connected. You feel less connected to your body. You feel less grateful, in fact. You feel more like hiding. You feel less in charge. But if you shift some of those thoughts, if you allow yourself to say, it's okay for me to want to feel amazing. It's okay for me to investigate if there's anything to be done about my health or my situation. It's okay to love my life and want to feel better. I'm allowed to be a beginner again in my life. If you want to think something like, well, when I'm stronger and happier, I actually serve more. I show up more powerfully. I think it doesn't take a lot to notice that those different thoughts create different feelings and different results. And I don't want to overstate things about women's issues in this situation, because I truly do believe men have their own very unfair social expectations in our culture. But I don't think men routinely have the idea of aging gracefully thrown against them. Aging gracefully. Who is it that gets to define what aging gracefully is? Because it seems to me that the person shutting us down with that idea of aging gracefully has their own problems. They seem to be triggered by people of a certain age asking for more or trying on new things. It's as if they're saying, shh, don't make a fuss. Don't question anything. Don't have goals that make the rest of us uncomfortable. I don't think there's anything ungraceful about curiosity or determination or ambition. And there's nothing wrong with you if you decide that you want more. Wanting more does not make you ungrateful. It makes you awake. It makes you alive. Do you see I'm a little passionate about this? Because I've talked to too many people where they feel like they have to justify their desires to other people. And you don't need to overstate the diagnosis, the before and after photo, your ages. You don't have to have a reason. Your desire is reason enough. You know, this week I was thinking back about my sister-in-law, Lois. Lois is recently retired as a nurse, but she was a nurse and a nurse educator, an extremely educated, extremely skilled and experienced medical professional who worked for years at Yale. And I was having a tough time a few years back with a really painful frozen shoulder at the time. And I was trying to be kind of stoic. I wasn't getting to the doctor about it because, I mean, there were really a lot of what I thought, a lot of more pressing, bigger, more important issues going on in our family at the time. And my frozen shoulder did not feel, plus the word frozen shoulder, it just didn't seem like, it didn't feel frozen. It felt like hot pokers. It felt awful. But my frozen shoulder did not feel like anything to complain about in the family. And I remember Lois saying, listen, in healthcare, you see everything. You see every single kind of problem, every sort of tragedy. But she says it's the worst thing when people don't share what's hurting or bothering them because they don't feel their pain is worthy of speaking up about. Because no one can help you if you don't let them know. And if you decide ahead of time there's no support for you. And that's how things get worse than they need to be. And you know, it's not just personal pains and personal problems that get dismissed. You might care, like many of the people in this audience, you might care very deeply about how about how animals are treated, or where our food comes from, or how food choices impact our climate. And someone will say, guaranteed, people are starving. Why are you so worried about that? Why are you so worried about cows? That's your concern with war going on, with bombing? Must be nice to worry about tofu while the world burns, Michele. Okay, I think I made that one up, but that's how it sounds to me sometimes when people just really decide that I must be completely off my rocker. But your compassion does not need to pass some sort of standardized global tragedy test. You are allowed to care about animals and food production and humans. You're allowed to be concerned about your food and children in the world. Caring does not dilute your compassion. I think it expands it. And in fact, in my experience, spending more time taking actions, committing to choices that support your ethics, even in your smallest daily choices like your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, that actually increases your ability to see where you could lobby or advocate or reach out or contribute to support people suffering in a global context. The very same human spirit that chooses to opt out of a global industrial program of animal cruelty is actually more likely, I see it, to be advocating for the victims of war and oppression and food insecurity. So why is it seen to be more realistic or more graceful to just shut down, to just throw your hands up and feel powerless? It's not either or. It's not either or. It never was. So veg your besties. Are you done with me yet? This week's challenge. Where are you using the blessings in your life against yourself? Life hurts sometimes. Sometimes it hurts a lot. And if anyone tells you you're too old or too vain or too fortunate to feel what you feel, that's not about you. You just told the wrong person. I want the pain that I feel anytime I feel pain. I want that pain to open me up, to help me feel more compassion, more connection to all the other humans who are navigating this experience called life. And I don't want you to apologize for hurting. Make sure you have a couple people you can safely complain to. Is it a good idea to be thoughtful about with whom you are speaking before you bitch and moan? I think yes. And I do think that is good manners. But don't apologize for caring about the environment or animal welfare or worker safety or water pollution or desertification or any of the other serious results of industrial animal agriculture. When the most lucky citizens, the most educated, active, privileged members of our communities use our good fortune, use our blessings against ourselves, when, like older folks, we're just told to age gracefully, when we're afraid to share what's hard because someone could make fun or minimize it or invalidate us or tell us we're out of touch, tell us we're asking for too much, well, I wonder who that serves. Who does it serve for you to just shut up and keep consuming? Who does it serve to be told maybe you should just age gracefully? Okay. Okay. I told you it might be kind of a personal rant today. Back to more measured thoughts, maybe, next week. In the meantime, kids, feel free to weigh in with me. Let me know what you think. It's a safe space if you've had a tough time. You don't have to measure what's hard for you against the worst atrocities happening in the world today. I'm always here to help you any way I can to veg your best. Veg Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Veg Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and veg your best.